In this video, I'm going to share with you my 7 best tips for selling over the phone, and we're starting, you guessed it, right now. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here and you're in real estate or you're in a sales business and you want to grow your business, start now by subscribing to my channel, hitting the notification bell so you never miss one of my training videos. So today we're talking all about tips, strategies, and tactics for you to get better results selling over the phone. And at the end of this video, head down to the comment section. I'll be hanging out for about an hour to answer all of your questions. And on your way, make sure you check the description to download my free script book. Starting with number 1, mirror and match the prospect. You see, there are 3 things that you need to focus on when selling over the phone. Number 1 is tone, right? So you want to match the prospect's tonality, okay? So if they're talking loud like this, you want to talk loud like this. If they're more soft-spoken like this, you want to match the prospect. Number 2, you want to mirror and match their pace of speech. So if they talk really fast like this, you want to make sure that you match the pace at which the prospect is communicating. Number 3 is you want to match the personality styles. And this is why it's so critical that if you're in sales, you need to study personality types. If you're talking to an analytical personality, you need to make sure that you spend a lot of time on the numbers and the facts. Number 2 is something that I call ARPing. ARPing stands for acknowledge, respond, and pivot to another question immediately. You see, one of the biggest things that salespeople who sell over the telephone struggle with is a prospect they'll just ask them a simple question. Maybe they put up some type of an objection or some type of resistance, and that's it for the salesperson. They don't know how to keep the conversation flowing. And so what ARPing will teach you to do is simply acknowledge the person's question or objection, respond to that question or objection, and simply pivot to another question in your script so you can keep the conversations flowing nicely. Number 3 is asking more questions. One of the biggest problems that salespeople have is talking too much and not listening enough. Well, in order to listen, what do you have to do? Come on, you guessed it. You got to ask questions. So you got to ask open style questions to get the prospect to talk so you can learn more about how you can serve them, not sell them, because as you know, I teach you something called reverse selling, how to serve the prospect. So the only way you know how to serve them, how to make an accurate diagnosis, how to properly recommend the right solution, you have to ask more questions. Number 4 is shut up and listen when you ask a question. So if you get good at asking questions, the next thing you need to get good at is shutting your mouth, because God gave us 1 mouth and 2 ears, and so we've got to listen more. And the power of silence, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, it might be the number 1 skill set you can have as a great salesperson is your ability to be quiet. And as I'm coaching and training salespeople all over the country, they have a problem with talking too much. And so you have to get very comfortable with that uncomfortable silence over the phone to get better results. When you ask a prospect a question, especially a tough question, and they don't answer for a minute, don't add anything. Just listen. Let the prospect sit in the weight of their pain without you adding anything. Let them mumble and come up with, weird responses, and don't say a word until they answer your question. Number 5 is using assumptive language. So you have to become an absolute master of what I call assumptive language, using things like, let's do this. Why don't we do this? Let's go ahead and do this. Here's what we're going to do next. All of these types of things keeps you in control of the conversation to take that conversation where it needs to go to serve the consumer at the highest level. If you can't use assumptive language, you're going to have a very, very difficult time either setting appointments over the phone or getting someone to buy over the phone. Number 6 is gaining agreement. You see, once you start to really hone in your sales skills, you need to get really good at gaining agreement. What is that? That's when you ask a question or you give a statement of value and you simply say to the prospect, does that make sense? Do you see how that could work? Fair enough? Is that unreasonable? And you gain agreement in such a way where you end the statement with a question where you know the prospect will agree with you. That's called gaining agreement. It's a very powerful strategy and tactic in reverse selling to show the prospect that you and the prospect are on the same page from a mindset, from a belief standpoint, from a philosophical standpoint. It shows the prospect, and they sit back and say, wow, you know what? This guy actually gets it. This guy actually gets me. And number 7 is removing the prospect's threat of saying yes. You see, one of the hardest things, what we're all in sales to do is to help people make sales, make money, and reach the levels of success that we want. And getting the prospect to say yes to your product or service is the only way to get there. And so how do you get more prospects to say yes? You have to remove the threat. How do you do that? You need to have a strong value proposition. What does that mean? That means that you remove the risk and the threat when the prospect commits to do business with you. So you need to come up with things inside your sales business that removes that threat. That could be offering some type of guarantee. That could be offering some type of flexible compensation structure based on how you perform for the prospect. There's all kinds of different ways and different things that you can come up with that are very tangible to get the prospect to say yes without having to worry. You see, the reason why a lot of people have to think it over, have to talk to their spouse, give you some type of smokescreen, some type of objection, is they don't know if they trust you. They don't know if what you're saying is true. They don't know if what you're saying is going to help them. And so you need to create a concrete value proposition to help the consumer believe that what you're saying is the truth. Otherwise, you would have risk as well. So next, head down to the comment section so I can answer all of your questions about your sales business. And on your way, make sure that you download my script book. I'll put a link in the description below. So there you have it. There are my 7 tips for phone selling. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.